Hello and welcome to the King's Forum podcast show. I have a very special guest with me, Dulcie. Hi, Dulcie.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Dulcie is a sex and relationship coach, more so on the relationship side now, but just going to talk about your journey. How did it all start? How did you get to this point? What was it in the beginnings? What made you decide on this career?
So I think I've always had a way with people. It's probably worth saying that from a really early age, I've been very in love with love. I love understanding about relationships and people, and I was always naturally that friend that sort of people gravitated towards when they were having relationship problems. And that's that was kind of how I felt. I wanted to help more people, and I was kind of doing it without realizing for many years. But then I went through a divorce, a particularly traumatic divorce, about 5 years ago. And at the time, I went through the deepest depression. I was so lost. I was so alone. I'd been with my partner for 7 years, and we'd been very codependent during that time. And we'd met in my kind of early 20s. So that period between your early 20s and your 30s is where you really discover yourself, right? So all of my dreams, all of my visions, everything, it was co-planned with my ex-husband. So when the relationship broke down, I was just thrown into the abyss of I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am. So I started seeing a counselor, and I started seeing a coach, and I've done therapy in the past, and I really like counseling because I'm really interested in psychology, and I like to understand ways to kind of hack the brain to get yourself into happiness. And talking therapy is so important. When you're going through something, you need to be able to talk about what you're going through. You need a support network around you. And therapists, counselors, they can come objectively, right? So then they're not going to be coming at you with kind of all of the other influences that maybe some of your friends have. So I kind of loved that approach, but what I struggled with that was the kind of, right, you're going to pay quite a substantial amount of money, and it's going to hit 50 minutes in the office, and you could be there in floods of tears, which I was many times, and you're kind of rushed out the door. And for me, I really struggled with that. And I found it broke my trust with the counsellor as well, because essentially you're trying to co-regulate with somebody. And I was really struggling with that. So I started seeing a coach as well, and I really loved the coach because they help you look forward. So counselling is very much about looking back. You go through your childhood, you go through your patterns, you understand your limiting beliefs and how you get through that. Coaching is like, right, that's all great, but what are we going to do about it now? And again, I'm a very proactive person, so I love that side of things as well, and I really liked that. But then they're not coaches aren't necessarily trauma informed, right? So the kind of talking therapy piece was difficult. So I started thinking like, what can I do to kind of bring this approach together? And I found the Holistic Healing College in London that did a diploma in coaching and counselling, where you become a CMA certified counsellor. And I thought, this is great. I had no intentions of going into this as a job. I wanted to do the 2-year course to improve my understanding. It was something I saw as a tool for me, because I was just depressed. And and every day that I studied, all of the exercises we were doing, I was adapting it to my own circumstances. So I was healing at this level, this like incredible level. And as I progressed, and as I started to come towards the end of the course, and obviously at this point I was feeling healed, I was starting to date somebody new, and I was starting to really love myself, and I really understood the kind of the power of relationships and what that holds over us, and how we lose our identity and how we get that back. So I generally just thought to myself, this isn't something I can just let go. This is something that I need to share. This needs to be my thing now. So I started doing it kind of on the side. And then one day I just took the leap. I was like, right, COVID kind of came in, and I thought, I've been doing a bit of this, but now's the time to shine. And I tend to work with women who have gone through separation. There's a kind of there's a union of feeling when you've gone through a divorce, you know, when you've, especially when you have been with a partner kind of 5, 7, 10 years plus. It is different to kind of breaking up with somebody after a couple of months or a year. It's
definitely that
super
connection,
intense.
a lot of habit and you know, things that you're so used to, and before, you know, it's almost like a routine, yeah, with someone.
Yeah,
You're going through, this is what you do together, this is how we go about our lives together. So it's a lot that you're breaking away, and it's grieving, isn't it? When a relationship breaks up, it's grieving.
absolutely. And this was the beauty of kind of doing the counseling piece. I became, you know, there was grief counseling amongst that. So, you know, and like I say, the psychology, but as human beings, we are wired to attach. We are wired to feel safety and attachment, right? And we're also creatures of habit, as you say. So coming out of habit, it just throws our brain, our body, our nervous system into complete trauma. We don't know what to do, you know? So yeah, it's a very kind of niche, I think it's quite a niche subject, you know, kind of getting through that. And so yeah, so I started working with kind of clients who were going through a separation and you know, the great thing about the tools that I learned when I did the counseling and coaching was I also learned hypnotherapy. I learned subpart work, IFS, visualization, all of these great ways of tapping. You know, tapping is one of the EFT, emotional freedom technique, one of the best tools I've ever used. So I was not just learning, you know, how to kind of do the talking therapy and really understand a client from a conscious perspective. You have to work with the subconscious mind as well, because we operate from the subconscious mind 90% of the time. So all the fears that come up, all of the rejection issues, the abandonment issues, the stuff that comes up when we're going through grief, when we've lost our person, a lot of that is fear that we've had since childhood, where we've got stuck. You know, something happened to us when we were a child, and we call it trauma in therapy. And some will have much more excessive trauma. So there might be emotional neglect or physical neglect. You know, those types of things obviously are huge, but it's kind of all relative. It could be that your dad promised to pick you up from football one day and he didn't turn up, and you sat there crying, screaming for him, not knowing at 5 years old why your father hadn't turned up. Yeah. Now that might seem like quite a minor altercation, but for a 5-year-old child, that has then stuck a belief that somehow you're unlovable, you're unworthy. Where is dad? Why hasn't he come? What's happened?
Abandoned, neglected.
Abandoned, yeah. So inner child work is something that you have to work through.
It's huge, because to that child, that's their world, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's your safety.
That's everything to them. So yeah, from us looking back, you think, oh well, what was that? But to them, that's their world, and like you said, their safety. So, you know, feeling like that, and I've been there. I felt like that at times. If someone was meant to a parent was meant to pick you up and they didn't, and then someone else turns up, you know, it's just not the same. It's like, you know, so yeah, I totally get that. And we look back, and a lot of that, you know, most of all of this is from our childhood experience, so that we've not done the healing, or we've not realized how impactful it was on our lives until, you know, you start delving in and doing the inner work and the shadow work. And
when I was 6 years old, I did a karaoke. I was on holiday with my family, and I got up on stage and I sang "Lady in Red" by Krista Berg. I don't know, you must know. I mean,
yeah, of course.
You need some range to sing that song. Now, let me just be clear: I can't sing. And I got on stage anyway as a proud young girl, and I belted out Krista Berg, and everyone laughed.
Really?
And yeah. I mean, when I say laughed, I mean, you know, kind of, you know, not just kind of, I could see it. So I'm up on the stage and I've taken a risk, and I'm really trying to, you know, push myself out of my comfort zone. Now that experience traumatized me. That experience kept me thinking I couldn't have a voice, and I couldn't. So in adulthood, how it manifested was me not being brave and being scared to share my voice. So yeah, it's interesting how little things can have such a massive impact on you later on in life.
Cool. So back to your story. Where did you get? So you took some courses. You got a full repertoire of all these qualifications, and then what was the next step?
Well, I remember posting on Facebook and saying that this is what I'm doing now, and straight away the universe delivered me my first client, where she said, I'm going through the situation. I have somebody in my life. I'm not sure if he's right. I just need some help. So I started working with her, and pretty much I would say 90% of my clientele is recommendation. So I post a lot of content on social media. You and I were talking earlier about marketing techniques and how you grow and all that kind of stuff. I haven't quite nailed that yet. What I will say is I am focused on my clients right now. Like, I really focus on delivering the best service possible. I have a kind of a 10 to 12 week program that covers kind of identifying the pain point, because sometimes majority of people come to me because they're going through a breakup. But sometimes people come to me because they can't settle in a relationship, or they are finding themselves in toxic patterns with toxic people. So it's a similar kind of thing. Whatever it is, then they're not necessarily happy with the way that their relationships are going. So the first part is, the first kind of part of my course is that we identify those pain points. The second part is we work through the limiting beliefs and all of the stuff holding them back, right? So that's when we do the inner child work. That's when we do the sub part work of, your light and shadow parts, as you say, and we reprogram it all, right? We spend quite a bulk of time doing that. I use hypnotherapy and visualization and tapping and all that kind of stuff to do conscious, unconscious, and also your nervous system. You've got to work all three. And then we future pace. So we're kind of, setting them off for kind of, a great future. But I've also started doing work with couples recently, because I also, again, I'm a universe person. And I think for me, I went through a separation myself a couple of months ago. We did no contact for 5 months, but we came back together. We both worked on our stuff. We both went to therapy. And at the end of it, we realized that there was something to save there.
Yeah.
And I really love the idea of rupture and repair. And I think all too often things get hard and we bolt, because we're in this society now where we're so used to options.
Yeah.
Right. There's so much around us. We don't, we're like, oh yeah, I could have this, I could have this, and something better out there all the time. Of course there is. But let me promise you, if you don't work on your stuff, so I was about to say something else there. If you don't work on your stuff, if we don't work on your shit, it is going to come back in another relationship.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you're with. If you are not holding yourself accountable for your patterns, your healing, your childhood, your wounds, it doesn't matter who you date, it's going to come back around, right? So you have to work on this stuff. And that was a really big thing for me. Part of me thinks that potentially throughout my marriage, I was maybe even a little bit narcissistic at times. I don't rate who I was as a person. I don't rate how I handled the separation. I don't rate how I treated myself, how I treated my ex-partner. I've had to sit with that. There's been shame, and there's been, a lot of guilt. Yeah. But then, you work through it. And you grow, and you vow to be a better person. And yeah, and that's why I do what I'm doing now. But yeah, I've got quite a variety. And I'm very lucky that people recommend me. I'll get emails sort of saying, oh God, you literally changed my friend's life, and she's glowing now, and she's met a new boyfriend, and she's so happy. Like, can you help me do the same? And I'm like, well, I can't promise you a boyfriend at the end of the 10 to 12 weeks, but let me see what I can do. But yeah, it's powerful stuff.
I was going to ask about your learnings from your divorce and relationships that didn't work out, because what I've done a lot more of the older I've got is reflect on the part I played in relationships, or when things haven't quite worked out, or whatever it is in life. Because, it's so easy to blame the other person or the other party and kind of deflect that onto them. And, what part did you play? How important, what did you learn, and how important was it in you becoming the coach you are today?
I think, yes, accountability is absolutely key. I think with me, I didn't have any concept of self-love. Self-love is everything. If you don't love yourself, you can't have, let me just be really clear, you can't have a healthy, happy relationship, right? You can heal in a relationship. I'm not saying that, because, you know, some people, that there seems to be a bit of a divide as to whether or not you should get into a new relationship if you're still healing from your last, for example. Teal Swan, she would say that actually you can't heal relationship trauma outside of a relationship. She says that actually you need to be in a relationship. Now that can be quite damaging, because, you know, you've got potentially two unhealed people trying, like, triggering each other over and over again.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But I think, you know, if you're working on self-love, you have to be working on your self-love. You have to be, I think the biggest thing for me is not waiting for someone to save you. Like, you save you, right? That person is an awesome addition. It needs to be, he or she needs to be an awesome addition to
complement you.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I think, you know, accountability on your self-love is and the way you view yourself, because it will improve how you handle your relationships. And to me, the learnings that I've learned is attachment style, understanding your attachment style and your love language. So again, it's kind of all based around knowing yourself. Attachment style and love languages are massive, because we all receive and give love in very, very different ways.
Yeah.
Some of us are anxiously attached, some of us are dismissive, some of us are in the middle, you know, the fearful avoidant, which is a very chaotic, and that's actually what I used to be. So that's the thing. When I see that I used to be a fearful avoidant, I cringe at that chaotic behavior. I cringe at that kind of, you know, getting very anxious with my partner and rah, 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 and then getting very dismissive, cutting them out, breaking up with them, moving out, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And I look back on that and I think, but now my journey has been so great with the self-love stuff that I have compassion, and I forget, you know, I've gone back and I've forgiven that version of myself, because she didn't know any better. She came from a home that my father was away a lot as a child, and he was working, he was bringing home the bacon, right? He literally was, like, but he would be away for months and months on end. And as a child, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand why he was away. All I understood was his absence. Yes. So I had an abandonment wound. I had a big, old, fat abandonment wound that had to be worked through before I could date or be in a relationship with anybody without making my problem their problem, you know, without being so scared they're going to leave me that I just constantly keep that cycle going. It's just, you can't have it. So yeah, so a lot of people come to me and they say that they think they're with me to get over their ex, and obviously that happens, and it's a catalyst for healing. Yeah. But actually the key thing is, how do we work on you? How do we? Yeah, that's the only way you're going to break your patterns. It's the only way you're going to break the cycles.
Yeah, the self-healing, and then you can move on to actually feeling you are capable of having a relationship, because you've improved the relationship you have with yourself.
Yeah, and also I would say the other thing, that my favorite statement is less expectation, more appreciation. So it's that kind of, because again, that's so key. It's like, we have such high expectations of someone else to meet our every single need, our every single whim. I mean, that's exhausting. That's exhausting for anyone. No one person can meet everything for you, you know, and sometimes you're missing and you're not appreciating. So just for a bit of an example, I am dating a man at the moment who is very, so in terms of kind of attachment styles, default, we're both leaning secure because we do a lot of the work together, but he's a dismissive avoidant and I'm a fearful avoidant. So a fearful avoidant is kind of more anxiety based, and especially if you're dealing with another avoidant, my anxiety gets more heightened and his avoidance gets more heightened, right? So he doesn't deal with me in the same way. He doesn't tell me a million times a day that he loves me. He doesn't, send me, actually he bought me some flowers the other day, which is very sweet, but he doesn't, he's not a big romantic gesture type guy, right? Because that's slightly uncomfortable for him. The words, the feelings, that can be a little bit uncomfortable for him sometimes. Does he prove it in actions? You know, his love language, and this is what I mean about love language, is acts of service. He absolutely, you know, he came to the airport the other day, picked me up. He makes sure if I'm ill that I go to the doctors. He will arrange everything in this house so that it's, you know, working for both. He's just, it's a different way. My way is words. My way is affection. My way is to say all of these things. And old Dulcie would have got very hung up on that. Well, why can't you tell me? But then I've had partners in the past, my ex after my husband, which was a terribly toxic relationship, and you know, it was only through doing the work that I realized it was toxic, and thankfully got out of it.
The rebound.
Yeah, he would say I love you 1,000,000 times a day. What did it mean?
Wow.
It meant nothing. And in fact, when we broke up, he actually said to me, used the words, I'm not sure I ever loved you, and I'm not sure I ever will. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, like, oh, you know. Whereas, you know, my partner now, he shows every day in his own way. And I appreciate that so much more.
No expectations, just appreciation.
Yeah, exactly. Up your appreciation, lower your expectation. Like,
I know that makes sense. So talk about some of the challenges about starting your own business. And I know we were talking off, you know, before the recording. Talk about some of the challenges. Just for people out there who might be like, I'm interested in that. Maybe I should start my own business and do what you're doing.
Yeah, the challenges are, I mean, I think generally as healers, and especially as empaths, so I'm a massive empath, right? So because I've worked on the self-love stuff, I've also worked on boundaries, but that has taken me a long, long time. When I started this business, kind of, you know, 1.5, 2 years ago, I was giving everything to everyone. I was giving freebies. I was helping everybody that I possibly can, and people took the piss. Yeah, right.
I imagine
people will always take the piss. They will take everything that they can out of you.
That's right.
You know, and dare I say it, sometimes it's close friends. You know, sometimes it's people that should absolutely know better. I would never dream of expecting a friend in a new business to give me a freebie. I just wouldn't. That's not. But then maybe that's something I've learned from being in business myself. But you know, you expect your friends and family to support you. And did you post something about this recently? I can't remember. I remember seeing a post recently where somebody was sort of saying, actually, friends and close family can sometimes be the worst. Yeah, I probably had more judgment.
I think I did post something like it. Sounds familiar to like something I post. Yeah, I think it could have been.
I've had more judgment, more criticism, more this isn't going to work from those people. And then I've got people on Instagram I've never met literally messaging me saying, God, your content is helping me so much. Like, thank you so much. Then I've got friends who will ring me up and say, oh, you haven't just got an hour of your time to talk through my relationship problem, have you? Yes, I have. If you want to book a session. Yes. So yeah, I think one of the challenges is that, and I think I'm now at a point where I see the piss takers, and I'm not willing to give everything away for free anymore. Like I value myself. I value the service I offer. I offer something quite unique in my service. I allow clients to WhatsApp me and voice note me in between sessions, any time of day or night, if they're struggling. I mean, obviously, if they voice note me at 2 a.m., I probably don't get back to them till the next morning. But that, for me, when I was going through my divorce, was what was missing. I would have my counselling, I'd have my coaching, and then I'd kind of be left feeling like, oh, I'm processing all of this stuff. Yeah, and, sometimes you're even dreaming about it because you're doing psychology stuff. And then I'd wake up the next morning in bits and not be able to self-soothe or regulate myself. So I offer that. Yeah, I offer that. So my time is, the service I offer is so unique and so dedicated to my clients. And I see the most incredible results. But yeah, my mistakes in the past would have been to try and be everything for everyone, and I will never do that again. And I think you've just got to have faith in yourself. You've got to believe. Anytime I've had a month where funds might be getting a bit tight or not quite sure I'm going to end up, something will come up. you know, like I'll speak to a friend. I've been in Portugal for a couple of months because I've got a friend over there who's got a 3-bedroom place, and he sort of said, yeah, come stay with me for rent free. So I, you know, rented out my property, popped over there and spent a couple of months working remotely from there. That was amazing. I want to travel. This is another reason why I do what I do now. And the beauty of us being able to use Zoom and things is helping me craft the life that I want and that I deserve, you know? So yeah, lots and lots and lots of learnings, but mainly believe in yourself, even in the really dark days. And that comes from the self-love. And yeah, don't let people, keep your boundaries really strong. Keep your boundaries really strong.
Do you have a mission statement for your business? Just for new clients and people that have loved what you've been talking about, to say, you know, this is why I should go and get some coaching from Dulcie.
Well, I always say I heal heartache using psych and science. So, you know, what I offer is it is unique in the sense that we're working with rewiring the brain. Literally, you know, neuroscience practices, proven neuroscience practices. It's not just right, come to me and talk, and I'll say, how do you feel about that? And attract the love you deserve. You know, this is so key. Whilst, like I say, whilst we're in a scarcity mindset and we're operating from wounds and old patterns, you can't attract in the right love. You are going to be, you can only attract at the level you are. So if you don't love yourself, if you're emotionally unavailable, if you're not dealing with your shit, you are going to attract in exactly the same partner. No one's coming to save you.
Yeah, love
that wasn't quite a succinct mission statement, but it was an idea.
It was good. Where can people find you, Dulcie? I know I've put your Instagram up there already that people can see, but anywhere else?
Awesome, thank you. Well, I'm launching a new Breakup Breakthrough course, which is like a new mini course that you'll be able to link through to that on my Instagram profile soon. And I'm at the Sex and Relationship Coach on Facebook also. I have a website that's got some freebies, and again, it's all being built at the moment actually, so that'll be available very soon. But follow me. I offer a huge amount of valuable content. And then, yeah, from there you can kind of decide how you feel about working with me. But I do 60-minute free discovery calls as well, where you can call and we have a strategy and we kind of talk through what that could look like for you. I think that's really important to check chemistry and needs before taking someone on.
100%. Dulcie, thank you very much. It's been amazing.
Oh, thank you, my love. Thank you. I'm so glad to finally meet you in person.
Come in.
We talk so much, don't we?
Exactly. It's just like, yeah, finally.
Yes, it's so lovely. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. People, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow Dulcie, and see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye.